Welcome back to the Lights Out podcast. Bedtime stories for boys and girls for when the lights go out. Good evening, boys and girls. Are you ready for bed? Are you all snuggled up and ready for another Lights Out bedtime story? Well, you're in for the additional treat tonight because tonight's story is part 2 in George's Marvelous Medicine by Ronald Dahl. And part 2 is called The Marvelous Plan, which followed on from part 1, Grandma. Do you remember what happened at the end of the last story? That's right, his grandma was pretty scary and he ran out of the living room into the kitchen and slammed the door. Okay, let's go. The Marvelous Plan. George sat himself down at the table in the kitchen. He was shaking a little. Oh, how he hated Grandma. He really hated that horrid old witchy woman. And all of a sudden, he had a tremendous urge to do something about her. Something whopping, something absolutely terrific, a real shocker, a sort of explosion. He wanted to blow away the witchy smell that hung about her in the next room. He may have been only 8 years old, but he was a brave little boy. He was ready to take this old woman on. I'm not going to be frightened by her, he said softly to himself. But he was frightened, and that's why he wanted suddenly to explode her away. Well, not quite away, but he did want to shake the old woman up a bit. Very well, then. What should it be? This whopping, terrific, exploding shocker for Grandma. He would have liked to put a firework banger under her chair, but he didn't have one. He would have liked to put a long green snake down the back of her dress, but he didn't have a long green snake. He would have liked to put 6 big black rats in the room with her and lock the door, but he didn't have 6 big black rats. As George sat there, pondering this interesting problem, his eyes fell upon the bottle of Grandma's brown medicine standing on the sideboard. Rotten stuff it seemed to be. 4 times a day, a large spoonful of it was shoveled into her mouth, and it didn't do her the slightest bit of good. She was always just as horrid after she'd had it as she'd been before. The whole point of medicine, surely, was to make a person better. If it didn't do that, then it was quite useless. So ho, thought George suddenly. Ha, ho, hum, I know exactly what I'll do. I shall make her a new medicine, one that is so strong and so fierce and so fantastic, it will either cure her completely or blow off the top of her head. I'll make her a magic medicine, a medicine no doctor in the world has ever made before. George looked at the kitchen clock. It said 10:05. There was nearly an hour left before Grandma's next dose was due at 11. Here we go then, cried George, jumping up from the table. A magic medicine it shall be. So give me a bug and a jumping flea, give me 2 snails and a lizard, 3, and the slimy squiggler from the sea, and the poisonous sting of a bumblebee, and the juice from a fruit of the jujube tree, and the powdered bone of a wombat's knee, and 100 other things as well, each with a rather nasty smell. I'll stir them up, I'll boil them long, a mixture tough, a mixture strong, and then hi-ho, and down it goes, a nice big spoonful, hold your nose, just gulp it down, have no fear. How do you like it, Granny dear? Will she go pop? Will she explode? Will she go flying up the road? Will she go poof in a puff of smoke? Start fizzing like a can of Coke? Who knows? Not I. Let's wait and see. I'm glad it's neither you nor me. Oh, Grandma, if you only knew what I've got in store for you. The end of part 2 of George's Marvelous Medicine by Ronald Dahl. Part 2 is called The Marvelous Plan. quite nice, short and simple, with a lovely rhyming bit at the end. I will see you in the next adventure of George and his marvelous medicine for his nasty little grandma. Good night.